to this computer.
There we go.
There we go. All right. We are live.
Hey, hi everybody. It's Scott here at the Agile 20 Reflect Festival again. I'm really excited here because when we first had the idea to do something like a retro, and again, it wasn't refined into being a festival idea, I'd kind of arranged to chat with Jim Benson that weekend anyway. I think you're writing a book or something, Jim?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always
Um,
writing the book.
and I went, I've got this crazy idea. Let's try and get everyone around the world together to do some celebration for the 20 years of Agile. And I remember initial skepticism, but so do you want to first of all introduce yourself, and then we'll go back, and then you can tell me what you remember of that first encounter of the Mad Scotsman.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. I'm Jim Benson. I don't know. I've been around in the Agile community since it very began. Since received my first pre-release version of XP Explained. I've written a couple of books, one of which Scott has in his hand. Personal Kanban, Why Plans Fail, etc. And my take on Agile has always been from the very beginning that our goal is to look at how we're working, look at what we need, look at what we need to deliver, look at who is on our team, and to build the best, most flexible system to deliver quality work. And in the last several years, I found myself in various positions, either stuck or perhaps even fomenting various religious wars throughout the Agile community. And at the tender age of 55, I no longer care about any of that anymore. I would just like people to enjoy the work that they do, enjoy their time with others, and to release awesome stuff.
Yeah, that punk rocker's really let himself go to see.
I'm a very tired punk rocker. I'm now a punk rocker who pretty much entirely records, music or music for film. So.
No, honestly, 2020 has made us all very tired. Yeah. All right. So when I first said let's do something like this festival, what was your initial reaction?
Well, my initial reaction was I think what we discussed in just preceding this call is that right now the word agile is very diffused. No one is particularly sure what it means, what it should mean, or if it should mean anything. There are various groups out there who have done an excellent job of monetizing it in the most consultancy of ways, often at the expense of their customers. And that I kind of saw you, Scott, kind of becoming the guy with the lightning rod standing in the field saying, okay, from all directions, strike, smite, or otherwise.
Okay. So in that interim bit where you went off to do your work, now in the last 3 months, that was that guy.
So the good thing about this is that Agile is still something that people can get very passionate about.
Oh, indeed.
The problem is that it is, and this is a blessing and a curse, is that the definition of Agile, like I was saying, is not defined. And so therefore people get very into the thing that they're very into, and they get very intolerant of the things that they are not into. Right. And sometimes for the geeks, for the process geeks of the world, that can become an extremely small piece of ground that they're standing on, and then they're at war with the rest of the world. And they're looking for a place to make a statement, and that's the danger. The danger of the peacemaker is that you're the first one that has to walk out in the middle of the cannons and say, "Hey, perhaps stop shooting" or something.
Yeah. The big theme of this is bringing people together. And we're going to put this out live. We're going to put this out and people can see it. But to bring people together, you've got to get dialogue, and to get dialogue, you have to get people to concede that the other person, uh, has an opinion.
Hmm.
I've been watching your election process. It's fascinating.
Oh, it's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that wasn't your how-to.
no, but one thing I'm noticing is the demonizing of the other. So
Yes.
it's almost like making, Republicans view Democrats and as being subhuman leftist Marxists who are going to,
Yep.
Antifa's going. What did Trump say yesterday? Antifa's going to knock you off over the head. I'm the only thing. I'm the only wall stopping you from Antifa knocking you over
That's
the head.
right. Because
Complete.
God knows he's a strong man.
Yeah, and then the other way around. Then the other way around as well. I think if you look at Trump supporters, there's a kind of persona that everyone's built of what a Trump supporter is.
Yep.
And if you actually look at the demographics, it's not that at all. It's completely different. And again, it looks fairly evenly split. But this demonizing thing, and I've seen this demonizing thing happening in our communities as well.
Hmm.
So bringing people together when they've spent a lot of time demonizing each other. What do you think about that? How
Well,
could we do that?
what I think about that is that uh, I am on record, indelible and of the internet at criticizing,
Infallible.
yeah, of criticizing Scrum. And I think I have a very good relationship with Howard Sublett. And I have a lot of very good friends who have been involved in the Scrum Alliance since the beginning and are still there. And I have other people who won't give me the time of day, because of the things that I've said. And so the question is just, when you have a world right now where our friends in Hong Kong or our friends in Belarus are significantly more afraid of saying things than they were a year ago. Or we have the wars or the strife that's breaking out now across Africa. That there are people in the world who have real problems, and we're arguing about these theoretical, philosophical. We have this luxury of having these arguments, and we need to recognize those divisions as divisions of luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do get that. One thing I've always said from the beginning, and I'll always say going forward, we've got more in common with each other than we've got, separated from each other.
Mm-hmm.
That desire to improve things, that desire to get sustainable work, that desire to make things visible, that desire to help people find creative solutions to their contexts.
Mm-hmm.
And currently I work for C Prime. It's in the scaled agility part of C Prime, and a lot of people will say safe, mindless, terrible, big framework and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But when people like my great friend Martin Burns and others in there, when I see them operating with clients, I don't see them just mindlessly applying a pattern. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see them looking at the toolbox and pulling things out. It's almost like as well, we pick the worst examples of anything. So we pick the worst examples of Scrum or the worst examples of Waterfall or the worst examples of something else. And we kind of pump that out as if, every practitioner is the same. And it seems to be the need to collapse everyone into labels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything we can do in the festival, I'd like to kind of step a little bit away from that and look at the commonality.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one for you. Right, I'm gonna put you in the spot because I like doing that. What's the similarities with Scrum and Kanban?
That's an interesting one. So the reason that I would stumble with that is because when we say Kanban, when I say Kanban, people are going to think I'm talking about personal Kanban. When other people say Kanban, they're going to think that we're talking about the Kanban method. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hit the rewind button back to when David and I first started the Kanban stuff, where it was literally just, can we just see what the hell's going on?
Visualization. Yeah.
Yes. Straight up, can we see what's going on? And then what happens after that? So
Which again is a huge part. It's a huge part of all Scrum practices. If you ever, that I can
yes,
see. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So the goals of Scrum, and I understand that in the new Scrum guide it doesn't even mention iterations anymore. So I'm not quite sure what's in the new Scrum guide, but
And then there's PSK where they've kind of, done a good job of pulling things together. But
right. But
yeah.
the at the base, what everybody is looking for is clarity.
Yeah.
Do we understand right now what we as professionals should be doing, and why should we be doing it? That's what the holy grail is of both of these things. And hopefully part of that grail is when we see what we're doing, how can we improve it and do it better?
Yeah, and how we can, I guess, understand it in a way that we're smoothing out the peaks and troughs a little bit.
Mhm.
Work becomes sustainable. A lot of my original thinking when I went into why we needed to change was about the complete gap between business and tech. And tech guys were working the weekends. They were pulling everything. Even just now. So there's this entire approach of smaller slices. Release day is Thursday. It's not like
Mhm.
Saturday night. It's not Saturday night once a year. You know, and again the dialogue and the dialogue about what the work items are and talking about the work more. Really bringing that together.
Mhm.
Um, we've been doing quite a few videos, and I because I'm because I'm like the central chappy. I get to see them. So I
Mhm.
saw Lisa Atkins one. It's going to get released to Friday, and she said something that really stuck with me, which was so again when I suppose started, as you remember, I was telling everyone we need to kind of cross the river by feeling for the rocks because I had no idea how to get to this.
Mhm.
This was I think now if we look back, it looks kind of simple how to do this, but at the time it was very difficult on how to do this. And bridge building was the big theme that the team came up with. That what we're doing is trying to build bridges, and whether that's bridges geographically, and whether that's bridges, between people,
Mhm.
whether that's kind of bridges and ideas, whether that's bridges between technology and business. Because business, and again, we'll talk about it in a little bit. But business agility is such a huge thing now, and it's such a different thing than software development. So
Mhm.
it's kind of worth reflecting on that as well. Um, what Lisa said, and I loved was we should celebrate because we've done a lot. From where we were 20 years ago now to where we are now, we've done a lot.
Mhm.
And treat this as if we're gathering bread and having a rest before the next part of the journey.
Awesome.
And I love that. Gathering bread for the next part of the journey. And the reason I like that is because it's really telling us that that it's not done. Um,
Mhm.
I, I honestly think that our internal division within agility will hold us up, will cause us to have less impact, and actually getting more getting more alignment, coming together, building
Mhm.
bridges will help us in that next bit of the journey. And for me, that next bit of the journey is going to be things about agile in government, agile with climate change, agile in social
Mhm.
systems, much more than it's been in like software. So let's ask that question. So started off, we were talking about software,
Uh-huh.
lightweight software methods, and then we're kind of, someone asked me, the 10 years anniversary wasn't that big, so why would the 20-year one now? And I was like, goodness me, look at everything that's happened in the last 10 years. There's actually more happened in the last 10 years than there was in the first 10 years.
Mhm.
um, so business agility and software development. What's your thoughts on that? Because
So it's still difficult to get together and talk about Agile or Kanban, or, if there's an or there, uh, without talking about software development and alienating everyone else who's there. So for the last 4 years, I've been spending most of my time in New York City building buildings. Uh, 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 Tons of buildings across Manhattan and Brooklyn.
And
And
was that just for the restaurants?
no, that was and eating.
I
In
know.
fact,
I
with
was.
COVID, people were saying like they gained the COVID-15. I have lost 25 pounds since coming
I used
home.
to put calories on watching your pictures.
so, so I was working with a company with Turner Construction, a 115-year-old software company or construction company, and never touched their IT department, not once. So spent the whole time working in procurement, in actually operations, in every other part of the company, basically, but IT, and helping them visualize their work, helping them collaborate more, helping them learn new problem solving techniques. Um, and they had hired us under the guise of lean, right? So they wanted to become lean. Uh, but the truth is that lean doesn't work if you don't have some agile principles, and agile
Yeah,
doesn't work if you don't have some lean principles.
completely agree.
And
100%.
and so that for me was getting in there and working well outside. And I'm originally a civil engineer, so I didn't come into software by a traditional direction. But all of our examples in Agile, all of our history in Agile, all of our vernacular in Agile, all of our tooling in Agile is designed for software development. So, it's not like you're going to get a lot of people outside of IT to use Jira. Jira is so specialized for one particular type of software development, or
Yeah.
that it doesn't even work throughout all of software. So it's certainly not going to work outside of that. And even when you get into the kind of Kanban light systems that are out there, like Asana or what have you, all of those, even though they think they're not, they're still geared towards software because they were developed by software people for a software audience, and they haven't bothered really to go out and say what does the rest of the workers need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, good,
that
great
that's our
point.
that's
That
our problem.
that's one of them. But yeah, it's yeah. So again, I think we're in business just now, and I think we're in like headquarter business rationalization businesses.
Mhm,
I do think we're going to be heading more into social activity, because I think the world's heading that way. It's
mhm,
everything's going to be smaller and more networked. Everything's going to be more social.
mhm,
Um, um, and I actually think that the power of agile is going to be huge. So some of the stories I've been amazed at is, in Nigeria they want to use agile to try and put in better governance. And
mhm.
okay, so as a software dude, I'm going like, okay, why is better governance going to? And again, someone who's kind of been in large organizations and struggled even sometimes in taxonomy discussions and
Mhm,
things about what we call things, and um, to see people actually using the kind of the human techniques out of agile to do things, incredibly,
mhm.
to do real social change is going to be, I think it's going to be quite phenomenal. There's a real movement built up. I actually don't. Yeah, actually, the more I've been speaking to people about this festival, I don't think the people at the center of Agile realize the impact Agile's made. What do you think of that?
I I think that that's true. I What's interesting here is that because Agile is kind of its own, like your backdrop. there's a lot of it's a lot of mist
Oh, and
in kind of a
colorful.
good way. And we focus a lot, being process geeks, on whether or not these particular things are met, and we miss what agile actually means to other people. So uh, kind of the two faces of this, I think, were both said by Simon Bennett, who said at one point, in a frustration, agile doesn't mean anything more, it's just all hugs and Legos. And then later on, maybe a year later or so, he's like, the definition of agile is really becoming anything good. So agile now kind of just means anything good, and he was actually not as derisive about that as he was about the hugs and Legos.
That's interesting. I'll give you some thinking time on that one, and just kind of reflect on that. What I used to do first is tell people about stand-ups, right? I'd always go like, "Yeah, we're gonna do a stand-up every day, like Hill Street Blues."
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna swarm this issue, like we've got a major system outage. So just imagine that these planning sessions are a bit like P1 planning sessions. So we are.
Yep.
And the thing was, to explain the agile stuff, I was always pulling real life human stuff that we did. So I'm wondering, just as you talk about that, and have we just collected all the real functional bits about moving forward quickly and effectively, and we're kind of just spotlighted them, called them agile?
Well, I wish that were the case, but the fact is that most agile teams that I see are soup sandwich. They're desperately trying to do the rules of a flavor of agile, and they don't know why, and it's causing them to have all sorts of quality problems. So part of the reflection should be, have we driven down a path where certain people are entering agile thinking that there's a dogma that they have to attend to? And can we, as agilists, break free of that tendency to have that dogma? Because I see this constantly, where people who have work that comes in piecemeal are trying to do sprints. You're like, no, dude, no. Or there's like an emergency somewhere else in the organization, and they say, no, I can't do that because it doesn't match my sprint commitments. And that's not what any of us want, but it is what happens every day to real human beings. And so if we just keep saying that they're doing it wrong, or just to say, that's bad, then we're not taking responsibility for agile, and it's going to continue to run amok.
Yeah. I think years ago, Chris McDermott and I were talking. I think it was at the Lean Agile Glasgow, and I make the quote that he said this, and he can't remember saying it, so there were beers involved. But I'm pretty sure I said that Kanban is really useful, okay, for teams that have got problems with Scrum, and Scrum is really useful for teams that have got a problem with Kanban. And you can spend the rest of your life consulting in Agile, just looking, saying, have you tried the other one? And then I think there's something to that. Often, I think the description you're using there of focusing too much on the guide rails of Scrum, and then they don't become an enabling constraint at that point. They then become they become like a crab that can't grow because the rules are written down.
Yeah. And so so there's that dogmatic part, but then you also have people like Lisa Atkins or people like Adam Weisbart, who are focusing more on the human side.
Yeah.
How do you work together? How do you make decisions together? How do you do retrospectives that actually have meaning and a result? And
did you ever read that one?
Yeah. Yes,
I hope someone does a retrospective of Gene's work. I really do.
I would love nothing more.
But that side's also what we call agile as well, and it's kind of it's in the DNA, and that's the interesting thing, from large rooms of people where you put your hand up, or you know, where people actually have the courage to be brave in retrospectives and things.
Mhm. Yeah, I kind of like how you've got that backdrop, and then you've got this like magic invisible space in the back where relevance just appears. This is my magic pocket of relevance.
I think I just do it all the time. I mean, it's not as bad as it was when you said your first book was the
Yep.
extreme programming. I nearly put that one out. I adore this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
But maybe that's the thing with the festival as well. I mean, just maybe looking to see, taking a stock take. We've got so much information.
yeah. Well, and we have, we have, Gene and Kent and Alistair and others that if you put their books, or put our books next to each other, you might even be able to put them up in a coherent continuum.
Oh, that'd be a fun game.
Either like what leads to what, or what influenced what, or what, and to say that I ever could have written Personal Kanban without Kent Beck, it would be ridiculous. It'd be 100% ridiculous for me to say that this book, yeah, here it is. I'll do the same thing. That this book didn't require exposure to Kent and to Gene and to all of the people that I have been lucky enough over the years to call colleagues, and like we were talking about earlier, to Dr. Deming and to other people that I wasn't lucky enough to call colleague, but am definitely lucky enough to have them be the giants who are on my pedestal.
Yeah. I talked to Kent quite a bit, trying to get him involved, because I think the one of the biggest and most interesting things is when I talk to agile coaches and I say what fired them up, and they always say extreme programming explained. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, April Jefferson was interviewed the other day, and she said, "Yeah, I was part of an XP team."
Yep.
I don't know why, but we're using Scrum more than XP in the software side of things.
Marketing. Yeah. So the Scrum Alliance formed as a coherent group, and they invested in marketing. And Kent was never interested in doing those things.
Yeah, but I'd like
to. And you can see a parallel in the Kanban world between David's efforts and mine. Is David has been excellent at creating a system and being very disciplined in the sale of that system. And so yeah, I see some definite similarities there.
Okay, again, interesting. Yeah, you should make a certification system up.
Well, funny you should mention that.
Talk to Alistair. See if you can get in the Heart of Agile Academy. The Heart of Agile Academy.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So I mean, we talked about this earlier, but we've just released our certification system that isn't for Kanban. It's just basically for systems thinking, visual systems in Lean and Agile. Nice. And it is designed to do what I talked about earlier, which is introduce Agile people to more Lean concepts in an Agile context, and Lean people to more Agile concepts in a Lean context. So they don't feel like they're entering someone else's house. This is now shared space where we're actually talking about how can we build more humane systems of working.
You should do something in the festival on that to tell people about it.
I'm there.
Cool. That would be really good.
I also want to make sure. I mean, the thing that I really want to do during the festival is host some Lean coffees and talk about a way that we can have Lean coffees that aren't necessarily hosted, because everybody by now, just about everybody should know how to run one. So it shouldn't be incumbent upon me to host them all, but I would love to host a few.
Yeah. Well, so we've just redone the website, and the
Mhm.
website has a space there now for events to go in.
Okay.
There, so the events can go in there, and so just a little bit about that. We've got 77 ambassadors around the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
saw that.
that's
That
fascinating.
rocks. That's out of control. I love that.
And I bet you a lot of them have never used Lean Coffee. So it might be quite nice to take Lean Coffee to Nepal, take it to Peru, take it to
Yep.
Kazakhstan.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would
Let's let,
rock. Yeah, we've done lean coffee, we've done Kaizen camps on every continent, and it has been ridiculously successful everywhere we've gone.
okay. Well, I'll circulate this around the ambassadors. So Jim is available if any countries want to have a conversation about setting something up.
Okay.
Um, and that'd be good too.
Yep.
Well,
And if we want, we could actually just do a pre one just of the ambassadors.
that'd be interesting. I
Yep.
like it. Good. Brilliant. I'm loving the ideas. I think it's interesting. Everyone's been so busy and everyone's been so flat out, and February seems so long away because we've got we had Thanksgiving, we had the
Yep.
election, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Yep.
but it's going to be here soon. But we've made it super easy to put events in, and because the way we're running it is we're not hosting them centrally. We're just listing them centrally. So
Hmm.
you run your own event, you list it, then the audience can see it, book with you, and as long as you sign up with a code of conduct to make sure that your event's going to be
I love it.
safe for everyone, but it's really devolved. So yeah, I think lean coffee is everywhere would be a great idea. It's one of my best teaching techniques.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. All right, a wish for the festival, and then we'll finish.
Okay. Oh, a wish. Challenge number 2. My wish for the Agile 20 Reflect Festival um, is that it achieves its tagline of bringing people together, but it doesn't just bring people together, it helps people learn how to bring other people together.
That's
So
meta.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's explore that. I like it. I like that a lot. What we tend to do is we split and we separate,
Yep.
and we don't engage at all. We don't tackle, and we almost have no mechanism for calling out as well. Um,
Uh-huh.
I know Shane at the Agile Alliance, Shane Hasty out in New
Mhm.
Zealand, is doing some work around about ethics as well. And that for me is an interesting thing. Um,
It's
you know,
desperately needed in this world right now.
well, in our industry, it's an odd mixture of nobody wants to say anything either. Um, so yeah, so even kind of speaking stuff out and reporting it, yeah.
So not to I'll try and make this as not philosophical as I can.
Oh no,
Um,
our viewers are philosophical.
so we've had a lot of focus over the years in Agile on craft, on
Yeah,
being crafts people, and crafts people, in my opinion, crash 737 maxes. Professionals do not. And what I find in just in the software side of Agile, I'm not talking about like the spreading it out to the rest of the world, but one of the things that we need to clean up, which includes the word ethics, is what do we mean as professional software IT people?
yeah,
What are our responsibilities to the profession, and what does that mean? Because any professional never stops learning. Any real professional never stops practicing. Any professional never stops sharing. And I meet a lot of software developers who are like, I've learned all I can learn. Just tell me what to do and I'll sit in my place and type.
yeah.
And
And business people as well. They can be. I'm too busy to learn. I'm too busy to take
yep.
time out to go and do this improvement. Oh, yeah. Or my favorite question of all time: if I ever write a book, right? This is the title of the book, right? Do we need to take the testers to the retro? Would be the title of the book. It sums up everything that's wrong. Do we need to take the testers to the retro?
I'm a terrible artist. I want to draw the cover because I can see it in my head right now. So this has happened on more than one occasion. So if you want to hear like funny Kanban fail stories, I've seen this maybe 12 times over the last 12 years. Is I will see the Kanban for a team and everything will be perfectly WIP limited. And then there'll be a ticket with just tons of shit in it. And it's always the tester. Oh, yeah. And then I will say to the team, you need to stop right now and start testing. And invariably they say, I'm not a tester. I do not dirty these hands with the muck of testing. I might get some on me, and it's always, that thing is that weird, like 8 developers to 1 tester, which is kind of like the, 355 million Americans to 1/100th of that of ICU beds in COVID. That's exactly the same thing. And so they're always building these bottlenecks and you're just like, that is completely unprofessional. No professional should ever stand for that.
This is where I put like my dad voice on. Go to the developers, buddy, do you know why we have testers? Because we didn't used to. When I was young, we didn't used to have testers. We used to have testers because your code's shite.
That's right. Yeah, on Modus Institute, one of our classes is called Clean Your Room.
Yeah.
And it's literally about just the nightmare that lots of teams have made technical debt because they won't call it shite.
Yeah, there's an interesting bit there where I always tell, anytime I'm with a team, I'll say, like, please write this as if you're the one sporting it at 2 a.m, and it's the same sense of that, and yeah. Wow. Anyway,
I say, please write this like you actually give a damn.
Maybe that's the big disease we've got.
It's the thing is I mean, it's where I have 2, so I'm usually pretty chill about things, but where I will kind of wig out is when people are willingly putting other people at risk, or when people are willingly creating crappy product, regardless of the industry. So we've written human development reports for the UN. We've built buildings. We've set up systems for the World Bank that have nothing to do with tech. And in every single one of those places, there have been situations where people have willingly created poor product. Drives me nuts. And I have 2 personalities that I pull out. I either pull out my inner Taiichi Ohno, who was one of the first people in lean at Toyota, the one who invented like the idea of WIP limiting.
I'm getting your hands covered in oil twice a day. I love that.
and all of the stories were about him just showing up and just being a real asshole. And then my other one is my inner Gordon Ramsay. where your goal is to very quickly change behavior, and sometimes you have to do that in a combative way. Now, of course, Gordon has mellowed over the years and has like specifically started shows showing, look, I'm not completely an asshole.
I'm noticing a pattern here now.
That's right.
All that mellow talk at the beginning is you've toned down your inner bastard.
That's exactly right. That's right. I have created more effective outlets for my tirades. It's a and there's a lot of ex-punk rockers like me. There are a lot of punk rockers who have become like ambient music artists. But
Now, I'm going to pick up this before we go. Right?
you bet.
I really, really worry that Agile is becoming like ambient music, and we're at one time it was about trying to do radical change,
Uh-huh.
and now it's about something a little bit, we've kind of given up the hope of radical change.
Mm. I think that initially the radical change that we were looking for was stop treating your developers like crap, and that part of our anti-patterns that we think are patterns right now are because we're still doing that and it's not relevant anymore. We don't need to do that anymore, but what we do need to do is pay more attention to the people who are saying, how do we reach out and talk to our stakeholders, talk to our customers? How do we build collaborative relationships with people outside of IT, not make us get trouble tickets?
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we break out of this horrible cycle of product owner-ness where we say this is our customer proxy, which was very necessary in 1999 and is completely detrimental now.
You know what? We should have a festival where we can discuss this. Right. Stop recording and we'll
All right.
and
All
we'll
right.
chat for a
Thanks,
bit.
everyone.